Alright, it's time to continue Christmas month, and today we take a look at Robert Zemekis' Polar Express and his version of A Christmas Carol. Robert Zemeckis is a great director in my opinion. I love most of his work, and I think he really knows how to tell a story. Zemeckis is also known for trying to go state-of-the-art with his films, going for effects and techniques that are new and interesting. With that, we take a look at Polar Express. While motion capture is nothing new, there had never been an entire movie surrounding that effect. The story is about a young boy who is doubting the existence of Santa Claus. He reads magazines and books to support that Santa exists, but with no luck. He is then picked up by a train that leads directly to Santa Claus and his home at the North Pole. He is also joined by a group of other children. I have to give the film a lot of credit. I know there are a handful of people that dislike this film, but I think Polar Express is a charming and very well made Christmas movie. It remains very loyal to the book for the most part, with a few changes made for cinematic purposes. The musical numbers are catchy and upbeat. If I had to nitpick about anything with the film, it's some of the animation itself. This was the first time the motion capture acting had ever been done for a full-length feature film, so there are a lot of sketchy moments with the animation. There are moments throughout the film where I felt the animation didn't convey the emotion of the characters well enough. This is my main problem with some animated films to begin with. One of the biggest compliments that I have to give studios like Pixar and DreamWorks is that they are able to convey every single bit of emotion with their characters. This is what makes you forget that it's an animated film. But that's not a knock against the style of the animation. The film looks great as a whole, and for the most part it looks very realistic, and the environments are beautiful, particularly the North Pole. Acting-wise, the movie is very, very good. Tom Hanks does a tremendous job playing 5 parts in the movie and giving his best for each one, with my favorite being the conductor. When it comes to the rest, it's just amazing. I would name names, but there are so many people attached to the other characters. For instance, one kid usually has about 2 or 3 people helping perform that one part. An actor for the motion capture, another actor for the speaking voice, and sometimes someone for the singing voice. A lot of work went into this, and I'm really impressed on how well it turned out. Overall, Polar Express to me is a standout amongst Christmas films. I love the acting, I love the animation for the most part, and I think it's become a highly misunderstood Christmas movie ever since its debut. Again, there are a lot of people that don't like this film, and I for one don't know why. In between Polar Express and A Christmas Carol, Zemeckis did Beowulf with Angelina Jolie, Crispin Glover, and Ray Winstone. It wasn't a bad movie by any regards, but the animation was still very sketchy, and again, I didn't feel the animation, motion capture or not, presented the emotions of the actors well enough, and that was my biggest problem with Beowulf. Now, let's move on to A Christmas Carol. I was very surprised when this movie was announced, but I was also very interested because while there have been so many adaptations of A Christmas Carol, I was very interested to see Robert Zemeckis' version of it. I was a little turned off at first when it was announced that it was going to be another motion capture animated film. In 2001, there was another animated Christmas Carol film that ended up on my top 10 worst Christmas movies list, titled Christmas Carol the Movie, and when Robert Zemeckis' film was announced, I took the time to actually watch that film and absolutely hated it, and I worried that this film would turn out the same way. However, I still wanted to give it a chance, so I went opening night. The film follows the traditional Christmas Carol story. It's about a wealthy old man, Ebenezer Scrooge, who absolutely hates Christmas, and the people around him dislike him just as much. During the night of Christmas Eve, he is visited by 3 ghosts: the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas yet to come. These ghosts try to get Scrooge to see the errors of his ways and what it will eventually lead to if his hate for Christmas and the people around him persist. I'm going to be very honest, I don't like this film at all. To me, A Christmas Carol was meant to be told as a live-action film. For some reason, to me, the animation takes away the spirit of the story and makes you forget about the story in a way. I'm all for the ghosts being animated, that's fine, but I like the contrast of the animated ghost against the live-action actors rather than the entire thing being animated. That was the element of the live-action films that I liked. The ghost stood out when compared to the rest of the actors and environments. However, when it's all animated, they're just the same as everything else. Also, I've usually credited Zemeckis' work for having some of the strongest performances in film history. Films like Forrest Gump, Castaway, Back to the Future, and even Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Zemeckis usually tries to get the best out of his actors, and I never felt that in A Christmas Carol. Jim Carrey is fine. I felt Carrey gave a great voice acting performance. However, the rest, in my opinion, falls really flat. It's sad, too, especially when you have such a powerful cast like Gary Oldman, Colin Firth, Robin Wright Penn, Bob Hoskins, these great veteran actors, but it just doesn't go well. The great screen chemistry that we're all used to seeing in Zemeckis' work is just not there, and it's really unfortunate, especially when you have all these great actors. Overall, I just don't like this film. Again, I prefer A Christmas Carol to be live action. This animated version just lacks the spirit of the live action versions and comes off rather shallow. So that's Polar Express and A Christmas Carol. Next week, I go into the video game world and play a couple Christmas indie games on Xbox Live. Well, everyone, that's it for now. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.